Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the REI Network podcast with me, Gavin Timms. On this episode, I have a good friend, a business partner of mine, Dustin. I'm going to bring over here in a second. We got a few things that we want to share. We're going to be looking at actual deals, real deals where we've actually made money and got other people paid. And we're going to give you an opportunity to potentially work with us as well, depending on where you're at in your investment career. Okay, so here he is. Dustin, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Gavin. I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm good. I appreciate you joining, and this is your second time on. So thank you for coming on. I know we've been working a lot closer together with the stuff that we do in our business on creative finance, but then you've also been working in my coaching program as well, which people love. I just got off a call today and getting, great feedback. And we have more deals people are going to be bringing. So you're going to be hearing from Larry and a guy called James as well. So that's pretty awesome. So
Very good.
excited.
Yep. Yeah, Larry sent me a message today, so that's awesome.
Okay, perfect. So I thought, I do a lot of podcasts. Sometimes I do teaching on my own. Sometimes I have guests on that are doing, certain things in the industry. Sometimes I have clients on. But I don't think there's a better session when we actually get on and actually talk about real deals, right? That we're actually doing them and kind of how we come about them. So you've been in the business. People know you by now, listening. You've been in the business for years. You've done over 5,000 transactions across the United States, a wealth of knowledge. And we kind of put something together where we want to do more deals, right? With other people getting maybe their first creative finance deal over the line, or even people that not even work in creative finance, where they're just throwing the leads aside, doing nothing. We want to give them an opportunity as well. So, what have we got? What deals are we going to talk about today? Have you got a couple that we can kind of go over, or anything you want to add on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, as you mentioned, been part of 5,000 transactions working for a hedge fund. And so I've seen the kind of ins and outs of different title issues and doing the keeping transactions together. I've gone off on my own and done a lot of deals from that, flipping to lease options, seller financing, sub to novation. So kind of seen the gamut of things. But as you mentioned lately, it's just working with other wholesalers to get them either won their first deal, get them across the line on some other deals that they just don't know how to structure. So, but yeah, I have a couple examples of deals that we've done with other wholesalers and just kind of share how we're structuring them and make you realize and make whoever's listening realize there's ways to get paid for deals that you necessarily don't think might be a deal, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest eye opener. And a couple of years ago, say 3-4 years ago, when I really started diving deep into the creative stuff, that was my end goal, was how can I spend all this money on leads and marketing and lead generation, and a majority of them don't make sense as a wholesale or a flip, right?
Yeah.
So that's when started working more of the seller finance deals, some sub to lease options and stuff like that. But so basically that's it.
Yeah, I just want to add real quick, because I feel like, I like to hit this head on, because people are like, I don't want them to accuse me of contradicting myself, right? So obviously no lead left behind by doing creative ways, but there's a lot of people, especially in the coaching program, that I need to stay focused on one thing, right? And that's where this really came about to start with, is the fact if you're going to focus, if they're focused on wholesaling, I wanted to give them an opportunity where they're not just going to throw leads off to the side and do nothing, because I need them to stay focused on one thing, right? And to master one thing to work. So how can we just be handing them over for somebody else to work, and then obviously bridging that into then, as you just said, working with even experienced wholesalers that are staying in their lane, where we can still, everyone wants to make more money, right? Yep. So to be able to bridge that. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. So give us then some examples. Let's go through one, kind of, how this lead came about, what was the situation of it, and kind of how did we turn it into a creative deal and make it happen?
Yeah, so I mean, this one is nothing really special. It was a seller finance deal. It came from a wholesaler that was trying to go after, as a wholesaler, doesn't flip or anything, tried a couple times with the seller to get the price down, but the seller was stuck on her price. She wanted, I think it was 75,000. House was worth like 80, 82, 83,000, I think is what we had it at. And so just based off of that, right, there's no deal when you're doing a wholesale. So the wholesaler had heard about me and brought it to my attention. I said, well, yeah, I'll take a look at it. The one thing that he did do, which was great, is he did set it up, and he asked the seller, said, well, would you consider selling on terms? And usually what happens when the seller is going to say, well, what are terms? And so this wholesaler already had kind of known the script that I give out to people, and he responded back with, well, if we were make payments to you over a certain period of time, got you your price, you pay no commissions, make no repairs, and pay no closing costs, would you take the payments over time? And so he talked to the seller about that, and she seemed a little interested. And then he came back and said, well, I'm not the one that actually does that. I can get you to a colleague, and they're the ones that would purchase that way. And so he actually set up the meeting, that was pretty good. We're not asking people to do that. I mean, you can just go to our website, but set up the meeting. So I got on the phone with the seller. Same thing. I still try and shoot for the lowest price possible, right? But she was stuck on the 75. She owned this property free and clear, and she was moving away, and she was either going to rent it, was kind of her first choice, or she was going to sell it, but she was going to list it with an agent. So we broke down, well, if you list with an agent, you're going to take 9% off the top. You need to make a little bit of repairs, and you're probably going to get beat up on the price a little bit. So wasn't having that. Talked about how, if you're going to rent this thing out, just be aware that, are you ready to be a landlord, right? Are you going to deal with tenants, trash, and toilets, right? So she wasn't really looking forward to that. Most sellers, owners don't realize what comes about when you become a landlord, right? You're dealing with problems, and you get the random phone calls here and there, but so anyways, started talking to her, and she was open for the terms conversation. So she wanted 75. Like I said, it was worth about 80, a little bit 82 and change or whatever. And she wanted $700 a month from it. And I said, and keep in mind that the rent in that area is about $850. So to me, $850 and $700, what I have to pay her, didn't make sense. The one thing she didn't understand is this, whatever we are giving her is her net in pocket, right? So she wanted 700. I had to explain to her, I said, seller, 700 is just not doable for me, but just remember what we're going to give you is cash in your pocket. You're not worrying about taxes. You're not going to worry about insurance. You don't have to worry about repairs. You don't have to worry about vacancy. That's us. You become the highest person on a totem pole, which is the bank. So you become Miss Seller Bank, right? And she was open for that. So I said, I can't do the 700. That just doesn't work. I would not be a buyer for that. But what if we were to give you 600? And she kind of went back and forth. And I said, look, 600 is, that's the top amount I can give you. Otherwise, again, I'm doing the pullback, right? I'm not the buyer for you. So eventually agreed to the 600. And then, of course, the conversation of, well, how much are you going to give me for a down payment? And I said, well, truthfully, I don't want to give you anything, but what about $3,000? And she actually agreed to that. So that was good. So, but for me, even between 600 to 850, as a rental, that doesn't make sense, because even though it's $850, you still have to remember, you have to put money into your war chest, right? So if you have a property manager, you got to pay the property manager. You got to take care of maintenance and your vacancy and stuff like that, right? So I usually, in my war chest, people call it 25 to 30%. So I said, these numbers are just really tight for me. However, I want to help you out. What if we found somebody that's willing to take over these exact terms? You get your $3,000. You don't have to worry about the maintenance. And I find someone that's qualified that can come in here and purchase this property this way. And she was good with it. So then we created an ad, posted a couple of things on Facebook Marketplace, and we found a end buyer we assigned our contract to this end buyer at the same exact terms. However, what we did with the end buyers, we said cash to close is $9,000, right? So $9,000 is what the buyer has to come in with plus closing costs. $3,000 of that is going to the seller, so there's $6,000 left, and then now we got paid. The wholesaler gets paid, and we close the deal. So
beautiful. So what did you actually put? Oh, I'm getting feedback. Am I echoing?
No, you still sound fine to me.
Okay. There we go. I don't know what's going on. We've got a bit of audio problem. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that's awesome. So basically, you couldn't make the deal work for us to keep, right? Mm-hmm. To stay in the middle is what we would call it, and sit in the middle there because it wasn't cash flowing. And for me, I think you'd agree. You've got to have 1, 2, or 3 ways to get paid on any creative deal. You get paid up front, you get paid on the back, equity on the back end, and then you have cash flow, right? There's 3 ways, and you've got to be having at least probably 2 of the 3 at least for it to be a deal. Maybe we would have had 115 cash flow if we would have had a massive chunk on the back end, right? Or there's no money on the back end, but we have a ton of cash flow and we're making principal only payments. So that wasn't working. So then you basically took that and then positioned it and transitioned into then bringing a buyer in and assigning your rights to that contract. The seller knows what's happening. They understand why, that if we want to stay in the middle, we need more money, right? We need more spread. And then obviously everyone will get paid. So what was the final numbers? What was the, obviously the 6,000 came down, the 9,000, 3,000 to the seller, but what terms did you set up for that buyer, that end buyer? Did you stick at the 6 or did you go back to 7? And what was the purchase price?
Yeah, so we stuck with the 6. They had to pay taxes and insurance. So I think that came up to close to like $800 or something like that after taxes and insurance. There was no, that was the other thing I negotiated, that there was no balloon. The seller actually didn't want a balloon. And if you work out the numbers at $600 a month, that was like a 9% interest to the seller, for the seller, right? Is what the payment came to. So now the seller is making tons of additional amount over the period of time until, you know, the end buyer decides to refinance her out. So it's a great deal for everybody. The buyer got in that necessarily wouldn't have qualified for a loan. You know, the one thing about this is, even though we're backing out of it, we want the seller and the buyer to be set up to succeed, you know, down the road and be able to actually purchase or not have any issues. So we do set them up through an RMLO, which is a residential mortgage lender, and we have them qualify them, right? I don't necessarily care about bankruptcies or low credit scores, but what I do care about is that they do have the funds and the means to make that payment, right? And I could tell you, like on that property, I think we had 100-something people that that applied for it or said they were interested. We then send them over to a link that is kind of like an application, and then from there, it's kind of picking what we think is probably the best qualified, and then we choose one, and they go through the RMLO, and we let them know at that point, hey, you know, based on what you submitted, it looks like you can afford this property. Is there anything you're not telling me that might come up when we move further with a residential mortgage lender? And then, you know, the truth comes out. Usually it's fine, you know, that most people are telling the truth. So that one, you know, we sent them through, and within a week or so, we had a approval, and then we went through closing. So
nice. Yeah. And how much input from the person that bought the lead to us? How much input did they have to do on any of this?
After we had that initial conversation, they were out of it, and it was just, you know, our team keeping them up to the date on what's going on in closing. I mean, the one thing people got to realize is when you start getting to the creative stuff, it's a little bit more of a process than just a wholesale operation, right? There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things that could go wrong. And then don't get me wrong, wholesale stuff too, there's things that go wrong and there's moving pieces. Yeah. But and trust, I do the wholesale stuff too, and I flip. So I understand that. But with the creative stuff, there's a lot of different things that it's educating a lot more, and it's a lot of follow up and communication than there is with the wholesale side. So I know you made a point earlier, like kind of sticking to your lane, right? And that's tough because there's a lot of shiny object syndromes, and I don't think like you should not end up learning the creative side, but you can't cut off the hand that's feeding you, and that hand is what, wholesaling right now or flipping. So if that's what you're really good at, focus on that. And then, you know, find someone that either can close the deals for you, come work with us, you know, and then still get, you know, paid for that, because otherwise those leads are going to waste. It's already money you're spending on marketing and systems and tools, and that's, you know, that all adds up. So why not get paid back on something that you're not able to close and refill your marketing budget?
No, absolutely. Makes complete sense. And you're exactly right. We don't, in the program that we have, I mean, we have everything, literally, from people doing sub twos and creative finance deals, people making 60 to 100 grand a month, people trying to do their first deal, and everyone's trying to level up, right? Everyone's on their own journey, trying to do their own thing. And then when I twisted your arm and said, look, come in and do a session a week, which has been huge for me, because people say to me, well, what are you doing? Me as a business owner, and my vision was, how do I get out, right? How do I make money in real estate without doing the negotiation anymore, right? And that's what I created on the wholesale side. And the problem was, on the creative side, is the deals that I did, I had to be the one doing it all the time, right? And I didn't like doing it. I didn't want to do it anymore. And that's why I focused more on wholesaling, because I could then be hands off. I could outsource it a lot easier. And then that's when, obviously, we worked together on deals before. You came into the program to do some virtual stuff. And I was like, you know, when we kind of, I wouldn't say I came up with it, but you were like, hey, maybe we should do something. We looked at it. I'd be like, yeah, this is perfect. So you work in the stuff within the leads that I'm generating. We do then stuff on our own that we generate. And then we've opened it up to clients, and it's working well. And now we're going out to kind of people listening here to say, look, why are we doing this? It's not, I don't mind saying it, we want to do more deals, right? Yep. And we want you to do more deals. And why do I've never done a deal from, people think this is crazy. Maybe they don't. Maybe I'm smart. Maybe I'm not. I have never done a deal from start to finish on my own. Whether I've been on dispo, whether I've been on acquisition, whether I've been putting people together to do deals, I've always had other people in the deal, because I believe that if you can build a team, you can do more together than on your own, right? And that's what this is about. We are looking for people that are not small-minded, right? That have an abundance mindset, that want to do more deals together. Like, our goal is to pay people for these deals so they bring us more deals, right? And make it a win-win. So yeah, I'm excited. Our clients love it. So if you want interested guys in joining our group, you can. If you want the education and the knowledge, and you're listening and going, actually, I want to get involved, we'll still work with you on deals. And sometimes we even do more JVs, and you get bigger splits doing that. You can go to reinetwork.com/join. But if you're like, actually, I'm doing my thing, I'm rocking and rolling, I'm brand new, I might not have the money, I want to do some work and send some leads, you're going to go to reidealclosers.com. I'm going to put it up on the screen if you're watching us, or if you're listening. It's reidealclosers.com. Go. It's pretty self-explanatory on there, right? Follow the stuff, follow the thing to get the lead put in. We'll get on it. We'll be communicating, keeping you up to speed, and yeah, it's going to be a game changer. Dustin, please add to all of my ramble.
Yeah, no. When you go to the website, if you go to the FAQ section, you know, the number one question I always get is, when am I going to get paid, right? So it's going to vary based on the situation. So just go to the FAQ section. We'll break it down on depending on the situation, and it, you know, works. I mean, very competitive, obviously, but again, it's like, what else are you going to do with these leads? And
100%.
the people that send us stuff, they understand it, right? Like,
yeah,
stay in your lane and don't let things go to waste.
Yeah, and if you do have a contract, guys, even on a wholesale or a creative deal, you have a contract, you're going to be able to get bigger spreads, right? Obviously. But if this is just a dead lead to you, okay, and you've just asked one simple question, which is, would you do anything on terms? And they say, yeah, possibly, tell me more, maybe, anything but no. Get that lead over to us, and then we will go and work it. Okay. And even again, people that are in our group, sometimes we'll get on the phone and work the deal with them to get it over the line.
Yeah,
which has been huge.
I mean, so we don't just do creative. I mean, we always will go for the cash offer, right? So Lateresa and Fred in the group, there's, they've had me work a bunch of their leads. And I was the initial contact. I reached out to the leads. I mean, they're as mailers, so those are, great leads to start working, right? But I reached out to them, and one of them we have set up as a wholesale deal, right? So, roughly they're going to get, well, once we close, about $18,000 from it. So,
which is crazy. That's just their portion.
That's their portion, $18,000.
Yeah.
So, and they don't have to do anything with it, right? So if you got marketing going out, and I mean, I love if you got mailers going out, you got pay-per-click, and you're not following up with those leads.
Let's go.
You are throwing so much money away. So send me those leads and those just leads, records, whatever you want to call them, and we'll contact them and get deals locked up. And we've also had people that are already in negotiations with the seller, and they can't get to that closing part, right? So I step in, they send it to me, and we do a JV, and I get introduced as the underwriter or the transaction coordinator. And so it's a non-sales approach, and I get the deal locked up at a cash price. So, and then those are quick, right? We dispo them. And another thing you mentioned too is on the dispo side. Say you already got the deal locked up, but now you need help with dispo. Between Gavin and I, we know a lot of people in the industry and all over the nation that can get these deals closed.
So. Yeah, and absolutely. I'm glad that you said all that, because basically we're not a one-trick pony, right? We can literally look at every situation, and obviously we have to have a guideline, like, hey, go to the website, and this is like, if the lead is dead, and you've done nothing with it, this is what we're going to give you. But if you've got other stuff going on, as Dustin just said, especially if you're doing PPC and direct mail, right? I mean, we need to be having probably a side conversation by saying, look, like, we might even be able to do like a strategy session or something. And I haven't even talked to Dustin. I'm just thinking out loud here, because you've got problems, right? You got problems because you got money to spend, and you're not working them deals. We got to change that. And that's where, again, our group, the culture that we're building within our network is brilliant. Our testimonial is great. People are doing deals. Like I said, Latrice and Fred ain't over the line yet. But if it is, and they get an $18,000 check and they didn't have to do anything, I mean, that's huge for them. Huge. Yep. So which is going to be amazing. So really, really good stuff. I definitely want to roll through another deal, Dustin. And again, guys, if you are listening or you're watching, go to ridealclosers.com. And this is not a website that is going to sell you into coaching. Okay. Let me just be very, very clear. I am a coach. We have a coaching program. I've already spoke about it. I've already given you the link. Okay. If you want to come on board, we are meeting every single day. No one else is doing this, and it is a game changer. But this that we're talking about right now is nothing to do with go to this website and you're going to sign up for a coaching. That is not what this is. This is about actually doing deals and getting results. And we want to do more deals with you. So I just want to be super clear on that, because I think people push, I'm not here to ram coaching down, and we don't take on everything anyway, regarding the coaching side. So we just wanted to kind of offer this. So anyway, let's talk about Dustin. Give another example. That one was great. What else have we got? Give us one more that we can kind of roll through, and so people can digest what we're doing.
Yeah. So here's another one wholesaler brought me, and this is actually a sub-2 transaction. So and it depends, I try and keep as many as possible, but also I don't have unlimited funds.
Yeah.
So I have to, like I said, don't cut off the hand that feeds you. So I'm going to wholesale or assign some of these. And we still, like I said, still do some wholesale stuff. But this was a sub-2 deal brought to me by another wholesaler. And the seller, she had spoken to an agent. the house needed quite a bit of work. It needs probably about 25,000. And I'm in escrow on this one right now. The tenants should be out today, actually. So I got to follow up after this this call. But so seller again moved out of state, has rented this house. The tenant's been off and on with making the mortgage payment or making the rent payment.
Right.
The house needs quite a bit of work. She had spoken to one or two different agents, and pretty much what the value the agents were coming up with, the seller is going to have to come out of pocket to close this deal, right? So her mortgage now it's like 53,000 or 55,000, around the numbers. So say 55,000, right? And so where they were going to have to list it and after paying commissions and whatnot, she would have to come out of pocket. So she was ready to let this deal just go back to the bank, right? The other wholesaler that brought it to me obviously can't do anything with it because can't get at a cheap enough price to wholesale it because she has a mortgage on it and she's not willing to go below the mortgage. So I got on the phone with her and kind of explained, look, the mortgage was 55,000. The payment was $720 or something like that. She was renting it out for like $800 or $850 or something like that. And then like I said, the tenant was like off and on the payments, right? So she was frustrated with that. She had moved out of state. So, but at 720 and rents were really 850 to 900, still not enough of a spread. Plus, I would have to put $20,000 into this to really get to the point where it needed to be. And I didn't want to do that. So again, I spoke with her. I said, hey, look, we can take over making the payments. However, I'm not going to be the one that's going to do this. These numbers are just too tight for me. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to lose money. I can't put food on my table and pay my employees, right? So I told her exactly what we're going to do. I said, hey, look, we're going to go and find someone that's well qualified, that deserves to be in a home, and see if they want to take over at these terms. So seller didn't want anything. She didn't want anything down. She just wanted to have the mortgage taken care of and not have to worry about a tenant not making the payments, right? So I ensured her, I said, look, the people that are going to come into this that we're going to place in here, they're not tenants. They are actually owners of the property, right? And they're going to take care of the property and they're going to treat it differently than a tenant, right? So we went out, did the same thing, did some marketing. We found a buyer originally at $10,000 as an assignment fee. That buyer ended up getting cold feet and backing out. So then we settled with another buyer that is in the construction business, and so perfect, setup, can do the work themselves, and then have a little bit of equity after they put in the work, and take over the payments of the $700. There's only 15 years left. It was a 15-year mortgage, so she had just refinanced, right? So in 15 years, this buyer is going to have it free and clear. And
right.
And so we collected $7,000. The wholesaler gets paid, and I get paid, right?
Nice.
It's deals like that all day long. Again, a seller has to have motivation. Not everybody's going to say yes to seller finance. It's not the secret sauce to everything, and not every seller is going to say yes. There still has to be some kind of motivation where it makes sense for them, right?
Yep.
But it's another tool that we use to close deals that don't make sense as a wholesale.
No, absolutely. And I think there's a couple of things here. I'm getting feedback again. Sorry. There's a couple of things though to talk about, because I was on a podcast, or I was on a live the other day talking about, sub twos and taking things over. And then, I'm not one for personally staying in the middle of the deal and assign it to somebody else when I've built the rapport. But the difference is, and I need people to understand this and pick up on it, is that you're identifying up front, this isn't going to work for me. Because people say from a legal standpoint, well, hold on, you're putting this deal together. Now you're not staying in the middle. You're assigning people that don't know what they're doing, right? Potentially. Mm-hmm. But you're positioning it from the get-go to say, this isn't going to work because here's why. If you want me to help you out, I can find this person for you. you, and then you're bringing them together. So again, that positioning is key, because I think there's a lot of people out there that say, me, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that for you. You're my point of contact. Then they end up selling the deal and signing it when they're not the point of contact. And you need to position that from an ethical standpoint up front to say, look, this person and for what you need is going to be able to solve that problem, because I can't. I'm just going to help you solve your problem, but I'm not going to be the one staying in the middle. I just think it's important for people to understand that and that positioning of the way you've just spoke on that. That makes sense.
Yep, exactly. I mean, I think obviously honesty, being very upfront with the seller, get you very far, right? It's and then if the things do happen, they know, if things happen, and they do, right? But they're already aware. It's not like a big surprise to them, right? So we let them know the risks. We let them know what could possibly happen. Like, so the buyer could stop making the payments, and now we have to go through eviction or foreclosure process, right? So there are risks, and the same thing with the buyer. Hey, buyer, the bank could call this due. There's issues with this stuff, right? But so it's just making everybody aware. You can't hide the facts. You can't hide the what could possibly happen, because it's going to come back and bite you. So and the other thing is, like, I tell the seller and buyer, I'm not an agent. I am just here to try and help you. I'm not acting as an agent. If worst comes to worst, yes, we'll take this down ourselves. So I still stay at that point. But if you guys want the opportunity to have this, then I'm more than glad to signing over my contract, because we do get the contract with the seller, and then we just assign it over to the buyer. So. And
the cool thing is, if people are freaked out, because I'm not one for sub twos, right? As you know, right? I mean, I normally bring you in when it's sub two. But the cool thing is that when we're working people's deals, they're not on these contracts. So they're not going to have any kickback from anything, period. So, people that are, worried about that. But again, I just wanted to show and identify in that you have to, we're doing it the right way. We're not giving the seller a load of fluff to get a deal, right? We're telling them the risk. But when you have a lady on that second deal that's going to throw it to the bank anyway, she has nothing to lose. Because the worst case is, if it all goes wrong, she throws it to the bank anyway.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So the worst is only going to be back to where she started, and she was going to do the worst thing and give it back. Right? Yeah. So she's only going to be in that position, worst case anyway, and default on the loan and be foreclosed on herself. So she, in that, go, oh yeah, I'd rather give it a go. And if it pans out great, she's just saved a credit and saved everything that goes with that, or she has to give back anyway. So really, she's got nothing to lose in that scenario.
Yep. Yeah. And so, I mean, there's so many different other possibilities, and that's the great thing about creative is, as long as I tell sellers this all the time, as long as it's legal, it's ethical, and we can agree upon it, we can do it. Right. So if you're willing to work with me, I can come up with 100 different options or solutions that might work for you. So let's figure it out and just have an open conversation. That's how I approach it. Yes, there's things to say and things not to do to move the seller along in the process, but just having an open conversation and trying to find out the best solution, be of someone that's going to help them, right?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Solving problems is kind of what it is about. And I think as well, people get it wrong is they go into every deal and say, how much money can I make? How do I win from this deal? And it's just the wrong attitude. You have to go in and go, how do I solve this problem? And in order to solve that problem, you'll get paid anyway. So you getting paid is just going to be the given. If you can't solve that problem, you ain't going to get any money. And people go in going, I want to make 10 grand, and that doesn't work. So you have to look at the problem at hand. You have to find out what the solution is, and then you have to solve it. And if you can solve it, you get paid. And we're here to solve that problem for you, again, by offering you this opportunity. If you've got deals, you've got leads, you want us to work, go to reidealclosers.com, and we will be able to get hooked up. Dustin, anything else before we finish?
No, I mean, if you do have questions, you can reach out. You'll see the email too. It's info@reidealclosers.com. If you go to the webpage, you can contact us, and we'll get back to you. If you have a deal that is ready to go or some leads that you want to submit, again, just go to REI Deal Closers, go to the form, and put the information about the property and the seller, and then or just read the FAQ section first before that. So, but yeah, I mean, we're here to help. This is really just to take care of the gaps in someone's business that they might necessarily feel comfortable with or know how to do, and we just want to get the deals over the line and get you guys paid. So I mean, you made a point earlier too, like we're problem solvers, right? We're problem solvers for a seller, and we're problem solvers for wholesalers and investors, flippers, right? We have lots of connections across the nation, and we are going to figure out a way that's going to work for the both of us. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when the best route was not to do something with me for the seller, right? And so we refer them to an agent. But I'm a licensed broker, so we get a referral fee, and then the wholesaler still gets paid from that, right? So there's always, but
win-wins everywhere.
Exactly.
Win-wins everywhere, and that's what we're trying to do. So, well, look, awesome, Dustin. I appreciate you. I think this is really good. I think we should do some more case studies on some more deals as well, because I think it's, if nothing else, it's great content for people to see how these deals actually come about and how they turn in from, again, someone giving their home away to then a deal that we can assign and make work. I think is huge. So yeah, appreciate you guys. If you are watching, remember reidealclosers.com, check that out, and give us a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you like and subscribe. Same on YouTube. Drop any comments as well. If you have comments and you have questions, you can put it on the episode. We'll be happy to go on there and answer them as well. Dustin, appreciate you, bud, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Gavin. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.